every school board, we want CRT taught. We want to critique CRT to make sure that every time it's taught, that we can find flaws in the system, talk about them, and compare notes of how different people within communities face different forms of disparity. And as long as organized religion fails to address in a positive way the issues, the enabling, the silencing of disparaged people, church will always be on the wrong side of history. And I think the reason why 25% of people who attend Baptist churches have left and never returned is because they've discovered the truth that churches like this are racist. If you support legislation, if you send money and donate to causes, churches, and groups that support banning critical race theory, banning abortion, banning transgender safety, you are enabling people being harassed, killed, living lives that are less enjoyable due to how you live your life. You can't call yourself an ally when you support groups that lobby and legislate for disparity. And nobody who goes to church can call themselves a moral, decent person if you're a member of a church, a group, an institution that systematically supports, funds, backs, and teaches doctrine that supports slavery, removing CRT from schools, taking away the ability of access to sexual orientation information. You can't call yourself a good American. It's racist, homophobic. And if you're a part of a religion that supports all these things, that makes you a racist. CRT is a good thing. And it's constantly evolving, changing to keep up with the times. And when a lot of churches don't even support Black Lives Matter, we have a problem. I grew up not knowing about the disparity part. I knew that Black people didn't experience the best quality of life compared to white people. I had no clue that the people I was around systematically upheld an institution and supported an institution that supported these racist ideologies. Most Christians believe that Black people, their lives have value and matter. Many Christians have concerns about the Black Lives Matter movement, talking about its history, its shared goals, its organizational structure. Some Christians believe that Black Lives Matter was started by Marxist, communist, atheistic advocates. Black Lives Matter sometimes isn't supported by churches because it conflicts with biblical teachings on heterosexual families. It impacts Western prescribed nuclear family structure. It can impact what they perceive as an institution of marriage between man and women. Black Lives Matter supports LGBTQ plus identities. This conflicts with biblical marriage and biblical values. Ideology differences. Some Christians express concerns about BLM's association with humanist ideologies they perceive incompatible with Christian values. Concerns about leadership and core convictions. Some critics argue that the BLM organization has core convictions that don't align with Christian beliefs. Christians believe the statement Black Lives Matter is a fundamental affirmation of the value of Black lives. Churches that do support Black Lives Matter, they enjoy addressing systematic racism and its effects. They recognize that everyone is created in the image of God. So Christians who support the core message of BLM may distance themselves from the specific organizational structure or political positions of the BL movement. There are a lot of denominations that do support BLM, and they support CRT. Not the churches I went to. Not Baptist, not Southern Baptist, not fundamentalism, not Calvinism. It doesn't. A lot of these churches believe that BLM and CRT are anti-Christian values, anti-Christian institutions, that it's unmistakably incompatible with biblical Christianity. The problem with this is because the environment that radical right-wing Christians believe is that they have a Christian privileged right. And they don't want to let that go. It became the MAGA group. And not all MAGAs are Christians, and not all Christians are MAGA. But when you believe that you have a Christian right and an authority you don't actually have, just because you believe in the Bible doesn't give you any authority. It's just a religion. There's no authority. But another thing we need to talk about is, how do people in minorities not always help their situation? Look at the last election. Now, we're not going to shame people of color, people of minorities, but we are going to talk about a very dark part of racism. Sometimes problems aren't fixed or resolved within their own groups. Sometimes they cause further issues. And if you've been following the election, of course you have, like, who didn't? We're going to talk about the voting patterns with minorities and African American people. This is quite shocking. People of color, specifically Black and Latino voters, played a role in the 2024 election in various ways that have prompted discussions about how anti-racism efforts and works. Number one, shift in voting patterns. While the majority of people of color continue to vote for the Democratic Kamala Harris, approximately 83% of Black voters, there was a noticeable increase in the share of votes for Donald Trump. For instance, according to PBS, about 16% of Black voters supported Trump in November of 2024 compared to 8% in 2020, so they doubled. Trump's support among Hispanic voters was higher in 2024, 48%, more than 2020, 36%, so it went up 12%. Number two, the reason for the shift. Some voters of color who supported Trump expressed concerns about economic issues like inflation and desire for decisive action, according to a focus group of Black men in swing states who also voted for Trump in 2024, according to NBC News. Others, including Black and Latino supporters interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, welcomed Trump's efforts to dismantle disparity, equity, and inclusion programs, seeing them as potentially leading to a more colorblind society, and believing they might be a drain on the economy. It's important to note that these actions have also been interpreted by some as an undermining effort to address systematic racism and promote a more equitable and just society. Number 3, impact on anti-racism efforts. The increased support for Trump among some people of color has raised questions about its implications for anti-racism efforts. Some argue that voting for a candidate who has been criticized for using racially coded language and implementing policies that weaken civil rights protections could be seen as undermining the fight against racism. However, others emphasize that the reasons for voting are complex and individuals may prioritize different issues, such as an economic concern, which may lead for some people of color or minorities to vote against candidates who are genuinely perceived as more aligned with anti-racism efforts. There's also a discussion about the role of identity politics and the tendency to blame victims or rely solely on people of color to solve racism. In conclusion, the 2024 election saw a shift in voting patterns among people of color, with some supporting Donald Trump due to many factors, including economic concerns and a desire to see certain DEI programs ended. This has led to diverse interpretations and discussions regarding the implication for anti-racism efforts, with some expressing concerns and others highlighting the complexity of individual voting decisions. So the dark side of racism, anti-racism efforts is, no matter how hard we work to overcome racism within their own group, there will always be, within that group, a large number of people that will always work with the racists to get what they want. The end justifies the means in individuals. People who are in the minorities but still vote for people they know are racist, sexist, queerphobic, they still vote for them. They know what they're capable of doing, and they still vote for them, are the kind of people that are causing what I call the 3 steps back in racism. No matter how hard people of color fight, there will always be people within their group that help the supremacists, help the racists, and help people who don't have minorities' best interests in mind. And it's not always an intentional thing. Sometimes it's they want something and this person is the best way of getting it, but the end never justifies the means. Giving a racist power for any reason is abhorrent. I would rather have anybody else than a racist, sexist, queerphobic person. And the irony here is the people who thought they were gaining something by voting against the racisms, the difference in privilege, have given more privilege to white people, privileged people. Whenever you vote against your race and the goal your race wants to get towards, you're undoing lots of people's efforts to make racism diminish. So there are a lot of minority voters, African Americans, Asians, Hispanics, Latinos, all kinds of minorities, including gay people. When you vote against the best interests of your party for any reason, you are screwing yourself. Ironically, the people who thought they were gaining something by electing a known racist are now coming to terms with the reality of their choice. We call it voters' remorse now. And a lot of these people who were minorities and trusted Trump have now lost their businesses. They've lost savings. They've lost so many things because they thought that voting against their best interests was a good thing. No matter how many minorities want to get rid of privilege, there will always be people in the disparity that give the privileged people more power. And we're starting to learn that the first people to be affected by Trump are the people who voted for Trump. Karma finds us all. I just put good karma out, so I'm most likely going to receive good karma in return. Even though I don't believe in the concept of karma, being an atheist, I do believe how you live your life, the politics you get involved with, the things you support, the things you try to work against, the way you deal with people, how kind you are, can determine your life expectancy, your quality of life, and how you feel about yourself. And it's hard to have integrity or feel good about yourself when you vote against your race and against the good that can come from working toward a good goal. So people who voted for Trump and they're minorities, I don't understand how you could vote for a racist. I mean, if someone's a racist, sexist, homophobe, I don't care what his policies are. I will never vote for somebody who doesn't have the basic respect for every group. And if you vote for somebody you know is a racist and you still vote for this person, I believe you are responsible. You have a part. You have a part of the problem. And people are now having to learn to live with their choice. And some people, it's destroying their life. It's called cause and effect. You choose a monster, a megalomaniac to be president, you lose your business. You lose your ability to thrive. And at the end of the day, what people deserve usually comes back. We know it is karma. And when you make a bad choice, you have to learn to live with it. And voting for Trump has already killed many people, displaced many people. Nothing justifies voting for somebody who is a racist. I would never give a racist power, a platform, or any form of influence. And in the next 4 years, we're going to find out the cost and consequences for voting against your group of people's best interests.